Hello everyone and welcome to another video in this new series that we have started, which is called the Excel to SQL series, or you can say Master SQL with Excel series. Okay, so in the first video we discussed as to why I'm creating this series and what kind of videos are we trying to make out of it. And also we saw some prerequisites. Excel is there in all the systems of Windows pretty much, and you'll have to download a SQL tool, so maybe a SQL Server or any other tool that you might want to add. Okay, so I dealt with SQL Server because I'm going to be using Microsoft SQL Server. So I've given the instructions to install and everything in that. So if you haven't seen that video, or if you need some help with that, you can go check out that video, or you can just look up how to install SQL Server in your system. Okay, so let's get started with this video. So I have this data set in front of me, and what are we going to do in today's video? In today's video, we're going to be looking at a first set of these clauses. So this is the list of clauses around which I'm going to make videos in this series. These are the basic ones. There'll be a few more which I will add as we make more videos, but these are the basic ones that we will cover. So the objective is that even if you're not able to write the query, you're able to understand the logic, right? Because SQL interviews are so common in data roles today that even if you're not able to write the code, or in an oral interview, let's say, you're able to explain the logic as to how the data should move and how it should be wrangled to get a particular objective. Okay, so today we are going to be looking at select and from. I've put select and from in the same line because there is no select without from. Okay, and you will see why that is the case. Alright, so let us first understand what are we trying to do by using select and from. So if you see, we have this table, we have some number of columns over here. However, I want to now start doing analysis around this, right? So this is a video games sales data set. Okay, so I want to start digging into it a little bit and seeing what games are there, what platforms, genre, publisher, sales, and all that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to create a new table out of this. So what does that mean? I'm only going to select the columns that I want out of this. I don't want some extra columns like this developer or rating, which is not going to really help us much at this point of time. Okay, so I am saying I only want certain columns. So let's say I want this 3, 4, and let's take one sales column 5. Okay, let me shade this so that, okay, so I am saying that I only want these columns for my new table. I don't want to look at the others because it's distracting. Okay, and you can essentially think of it as this way, that this is a big block and you're cutting some strips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're cutting 5 strips out of that block, and then you will take those strips and make something out of it. Okay, but first you need to cut the strips, right? So think of this process as the cutting of strips, that I've cut the strips and now we will decide what to do with it. Okay, so how do we do this? So I will first create a pivot table so I can show you how it is done in the pivot table. So I'm just going to take all the columns, select one, and our pivot table is open, right? Now let's start adding the columns that we have selected. So one is name, platform, genre, publisher, and the last one is global sales, correct? Now there's a slight difference over here. Okay, if you see this, when I add global sales, it comes as sum of global sales by default, right? I just pressed the tick and it went to the values box and says sum of global sales. However, this is not what I want at this point of time. I just want the column as is in my new table. Okay, basically think of it as I'm shrinking the raw data, which probably has 10 columns, into 5 columns. The other 5 columns are distractions at this point of time for that particular question or analysis, and I do not want to select that to make my analysis. Okay, so in this case summation is happening, which I don't want. Okay, so how do we represent this? I'll bring this global sales to rows instead. So now what happens is it does not become an aggregated column, it just becomes a regular column. Okay, like for example here, now these are not summed columns. Okay, they are not grouped by any particular dimension. They are row values, right? Like 82.53s correspond to Wii Sports for 2006. Okay, Super Mario Bros. NES 1985. Okay, and so on and so forth. All right, so now I have that column selected as is. Okay, so I know this looks a little different, so I'm just going to change this to a table format. There you go. So now I have the table format. You can see all the values. I've just added it this way. Okay, and you can obviously change the order of this as well, right? If you want, let's say, genre before platform, I can just modify this like this. You don't even need this actually. You can just select the column and drag it to the side in whichever order that you need. But essentially you are creating a new table, okay, which is different from the source table, right? It could be by the order of the columns, or by the manipulation, or by filtering, or by aggregation. Okay, the data is the same, but the data is manipulated, and the columns are manipulated and all that. Okay, but for that you need to first get a basic foundational table. So this is the foundational table that we are creating. All right, so let's see how to execute this now in SQL. Okay, so I have my SQL over here, and I'm just going to open a new query. This is taking a while. Yeah, so I'm just going to start off by just doing so the table that we have over here is this one, dbo.videogame_sales. Okay, so I'm just going to first do select. Okay, so select is the keyword where you're saying, okay, that I want to select either all the columns or some of the columns in a given table. Okay, so let's just do this. So I'm just going to write select star from dbo.videogame_sales. Okay, so this name, the table name, can be different for your SQL platform, whatever you give. So make sure you write that name when you're trying to run this query. Okay, so select star from dbo_videogame_sales. So essentially what the statement means is from dbo video games select star. Star refers to all the columns. Okay, so you're not saying, okay, I want this column, that column, this column, that column. I'm saying select all the columns, whatever is there in the table, select all of them. If I execute this, and you can see the same table is here. Okay, that's the same table that we just saw in the Excel file. Okay, so this is the simplest select query, select star from the name of the table. Okay, so now let's go and replicate that table that we just created. Okay, so how do we do that? So again, I'll say select, and now I will start naming the columns that I need. Okay, so let's start naming them one by one. That's name, name, then you have platform, year of release. Okay, I don't think this is that platform, so let me write it correctly. Platform, genre, publisher, and global sales. From, this remains the same as the previous one, this one. Okay, so I have said select name, platform, genre, publisher, and global sales. So I've specified every column that I want to select. So basically from dbo.videogame_sales select these columns that is written over here. So now if I run this, and this is the table that we get. Notice Wii Sports, Nintendo 82.52, Super Mario Bros 40.24, right? So this has not changed at all, which means I have taken the column as is. Okay, the only issue with this is you don't know for which year it is 82.52 and which year is this 40.24. That's the only issue with this. Okay, but now you have a new table entirely over here. So this is one table that we created where we selected all the columns. This is another table where we are only selecting specific columns. Okay, and just like how we did it in the pivot table, depending on how you order the columns over here, okay, depending on how you order the columns over here is how the order of the table will be, the schema of the table will be. Okay, so if let's say I remove name, I select platform first, and put name next. I remove publisher and I put year of release instead. Okay, so that's where the changes come now. Okay, so you have an entirely new table in the order of columns that you have given and in the columns of your choice. Okay, so and that also applies for the fact column over here, where we are just selecting the column as is without any aggregation. All right, so I hope this was simple enough, right? This is your first query that you have written if you have followed along with this video, but I hope that this was helpful. I hope this will ignite a spark in you to kind of say, okay, you know, I can pick up SQL as it doesn't look very hard, right? So I hope this is helpful. I hope you can use it. Please do like this video. Please comment and tell me if you found this helpful or not, and what are the kinds of videos do you want me to make on this channel. And please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't. There's more data content coming your way, and I want you to stay up to date with that. All right, so thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.